Introduction. The term entomology is derived from two Greek words. Entomon means an insect and logos means to study. The term insect is derived from the Latin word insectum, which means cut into. Insects came into Earth 480 million years ago. Man came to Mother Earth only 1 million years ago. Out of 17 lakh living species on Earth, 9.5 lakh species are insects, 2.5 lakh species are plants, and 0.45 lakh species alone are vertebrates. Insects are harmful to man as pests of cultivated crops, animals, stored products, carriers of human diseases, and pests of household and industrial articles. They are also helpful as producers of honey, lac, silk, dyes, etc., pollinators of crops, and as natural enemies of crop pests. They also serve as important link in the food web of biological cycle in ecosystem. Insects are grouped with other animals with similar characteristics in the phylum Arthropoda. There are about 1 to 2 million species of animals in the percent of these are insects. These animals are assigned to 29 phyla. Of these, only 9 phyla are large, and their representatives are common and familiar to us. These are called the major phyla. The other phyla are small and their representatives are uncommon and of uncertain relationships. Phylum Arthropoda is classified into 7 classes. Onychophora, claw-bearing, e.g. Peripterus crustaceanusta, shell, e.g. prawn, crab, woodlouse arachnida, arachne, spider, e.g. scorpion, spider, tick, mite 4. Chilopoda, chilo, lip, phora, appendage, e.g. centipedes diplopoda, diplo, 2, phora appendage, e.g. millipede trilobita, an extinct group. Hexapoda, hexa 6, phora legs, or insecta, in internal, sect, cut, e.g. insects. Introduction to class Insecta. Habitat: many terrestrial and few aquatic body regions, 3, head, thorax and abdomen, antennae, 1 pair visual organs, both simple, 3 no, and 2 compound eyes, locomotor organs, 3 pairs of legs on 3 thoracic segments and 2 pair of wings on meso and metathorax, respiration, tracheal habit, Phytophagous, predators and parasitoids. Examples: insects 828, thorax, forewing, hindwing, antennae, abdomen. Head, mouth parts, legs. Insect order Coleoptera, beetles and weevils, Lepidoptera, butterflies and moths, Hymenopter, bees, wasps and ants, Dipter, flies and mosquitoes, Hemipter, bugs, Orthopter, grasshoppers, crickets and locust. Insect dominance. Insects are the most dominant species on the earth as they originated on Earth 480 million years ago. Among 1.7 million living species, 0.95 million species are insects. Reasons for dominance. There are several structural, morphological and physiological factors responsible for insect dominance. They are: capacity for flight, more adaptability or universality, smaller size. Majority of insects are small in their size, conferring the following physiological and ecological advantages. Presence of exoskeleton. Insect body is covered with an outer cuticle called exoskeleton, which is made up of a cuticular protein called chitin. This is light in weight and gives strength, rigidity and flexibility to the insect body. Resistance to desiccation. Insects minimize the water loss from their body surface through prevention of water loss. Wax layer of epicuticle, closable spiracles, eggshell, conservation of water, capable of utilizing metabolic water, resorption of water from fecal matter, use less quantity of water to remove the nitrogenous waste. Tracheal system of respiration. This ensures direct transfer of adequate oxygen to actively breathing tissues. Spiracles through their closing mechanism admit air and restrict water loss. Higher reproductive potential. Reproductive potential of insect is high. 830, e.g. egg laying capacity, fecundity, of queen termite is 6,000 to 7,000 eggs per day for 15 long years. Short development period. Eggcom aphid produces 16 nymphs per female, which reaches the adulthood within 16 days. Presence of special types of reproduction other than oviparity and vivisciparity like polyembryony, parthenogenesis and paidogenesis. Types of insect. Mouth parts. 1. Biting and chewing type, e.g. cockroach and grasshopper. It is the primitive type of mouth part. Piercing and sucking Hemipterous bug type, e.g. plant bugs. Piercing and sucking Dipterous mosquito type, e.g. female mosquito. Chewing and lapping type, e.g. honeybee. Rasping and sucking, e.g. thrips. 6. Sponging type, e.g. housefly. 7. Siphoning type, e.g. moths and butterflies. Metamorphosis and immature stages in insects. Metamorphosis is the change in growth and development an insect undergoes during its life cycle from birth to maturity. There are 4 basic types of metamorphosis in insects. Ametabola, no metamorphosis, e.g. silverfish. These insects have only 3 stages in their life, namely egg, young ones and adult. It is most primitive type of metamorphosis. The hatching insect resembles the adult in all respects except for the size and called as juveniles. Molting continues throughout the life. Hemimetabola, incomplete metamorphosis, e.g. dragonfly, damselfly and mayfly. These insects also have 3 stages in their life, namely egg, young one and adult. The young ones are aquatic and are called as naiads. They are different from adults in habit and habitat. They breathe by means of tracheal gills. In dragonfly naiad, the lower lip, labium, is called mask, which is hinged and provided with hooks for capturing prey. After final molt, the insects have fully developed wings suited for aerial life. Paurometabola, gradual metamorphosis, e.g. cockroach, grasshopper, bugs. The young ones are called nymphs. They are terrestrial and resemble the adults in general body form except the wings and external genitalia. Their compound eyes and mouth parts are similar to that of adults. Both nymphs and adults share the same habitat. Wing buds externally appear in later instars. The genitalia development is gradual. Later instar nymphs closely resemble the adult with successive molts. Holometabola, complete metamorphosis, e.g. butterfly, moth, fly and bees. These insects have 4 life stages, namely egg, larva, pupa and adult. Majority of insects undergo complete metamorphosis. Larvae of butterflies are called caterpillar. Larva differs greatly in form from adult. Compound eyes are absent in larva. Lateral oculi or stemmata are the visual organs. Their mouth. 830. Parts and food habit differ from adults. Wing development is internal. When the larval growth is completed, it transforms into pupa. During the non-feeding pupal stage, the larval tissues disintegrate and adult organs are built up. Metamorphosis. Simple metamorphosis. Nymphs adapt. True bud. After hatching, the insect passes through a series of molts before becoming an adult. After each molt it is slightly larger. There are only 3 life forms: egg, nymph and adult. Nymphs resemble adults and usually food on the same host, but they lack wings and reproductive organs. Bugs, leaf hoppers, aphids, scales and miles are among the pests that have a simple metamorphosis. Adapt, moth. In complete metamorphosis, the insect passes through 4 life forms: egg, larva, e.g. caterpillar, grub, or maggot, pupa and adult. The immature things do not resemble the adult and their leading habits and host plants may delay those of the adult. Many extremely destructive tree fruit pests, including codling moth and cherry fruit fly, go through complete metamorphosis. Economics classification of insects. I. Beneficial insects. Commercial products derived from insects. A. Honey. Honey is used extensively as food and in the manufacture of many products. B. Beeswax. Beeswax is used extensively by industry in making candles, sealing wax, polishes and certain type of inks, models, dental impressions, cosmetics and other products. 831. C. Silk. The silk industry is an ancient one. Several types of silkworms are utilized for production of commercial silk, but the most important is Bombyx mori, mulberry silkworm, D. shellac. It is produced from the secretions of the lac insects Laxifer lactica, a type of scale insect occurring on palas, bur, kusum banyan, etc. These insects form incrustations of 6 to 13 mm thick on the twig of the host plant. These are collected, ground and processed to get shellac, dyes and other materials. Several insects have been used in the manufacture of dyes. The cochineal insect, Dactylopioscoccus, a scale insect somewhat similar to mealybugs, is used for the production of cochineal dyes. These insects feed on Opuntia cacti, prickly pear. The dye obtained from these insects is crimson in color and is produced from the dried bodies of insects. F. Insects as medicine. Certain insects have a real medicinal value. Allantoin is a substance isolated from secretions of fly maggots and it has properties of healing deep wounds. Cantharidin is a substance found in the blister beetle, Lita vesicatoria, and is useful internally treating certain urinary diseases and externally as a vesiant and counter-irritant. Other useful insects. Insects and pollination. The majority of higher plants are cross-pollinated. They depend on wind and insects for pollination. While wind pollination may be a chance, insect-aided pollination is somewhat a sure proposition. Wind-pollinated crop produces large quantities of dry pollen while the insect-pollinated crop produces less pollen, which is usually sticky and adheres to the bodies of insects that visit for the flower. Some species of plants depend solely on a single of species of insect or type of insect for pollination, e.g. A. Smyrna fig pollination by fig wasp. B. Rosaceous plants, apple, pear, cherry, strawberry, chiefly depend on honeybees. Many orchard fruits are mainly insect pollinated. Most important insect pollinator is honeybee. Entomophagous insects. The check, control, exerted upon insect pests by entomophagus, or insect-eating animals, insect is very important factor in keeping down the population of pest species. A classical example of successful control of an insect pest by a predator is the cottony cushion scale, Iceria purchase, a serious pest of orchard in California, by a ladybird beetle, Vedalia beetle, Rhodolia cardinals introduced from Australia. In less than 2 years the scale insect was completely controlled. There are several parasitoids and predators, which check the pest population. Insect as weed killers. 832. Many insects feed and destroy a noxious weed plant, e.g. 1. Prickly pear, Opuntia spp, was introduced into Australia and by 1925 had spread over 25 million acres. In 1925, the larvae of moth Cactobalastis cactarum were introduced into Australia from Argentina. Now it is almost eradicated with about just 1% of the area it occupied in 1925. 2. Hypericum perforatum L, clematis weed or goat weed was introduced into California in 1900 and by 1940 spread over 2.5 million acres. Chrysamlid, Chrysolina quadringmina proved effective and now it is a minor problem. Insects as scavengers. Insect scavengers are those that feed on decomposing plants or animals or dung. They convert these materials into simpler substances, which are returned to the soil and are available to plants. They also help to remove the unhealthful materials from man's surroundings. Wood-boring beetles, termites, carpenter ants and other wood feeders convert fallen trees and logs to soil. Dung beetles, Scarabaeidae, and dung flies enhance the decomposition of dung. Insects improve soil fertility. Soil enriched by the excretions and dead bodies of insects. Soil insects improve the physical properties of soil and add its organic content. Springtails, ants, mole crickets, cicadas, nymphs, termites, beetles, flies, etc. Insects as food of man and animals. Many animals utilize insects as food. Man himself is sometimes insectivorous. Many freshwater fish feed on mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies, mosquito larvae, various aquatic beetles, etc. Birds that feed largely or entirely upon insects have practical value as predators of insect pests, e.g., gulls, aquatic bird, checked a cricket outbreak in Utah. Other vertebrates are toads, frogs, lizards, bats, etc. Man in many parts of the world utilizes insects as food. Grasshoppers, locusts, crickets, cicadas, large ants, eggs of some large water bugs, grubs of cockroaches, beetles, caterpillars of some saturnid moths, and larvae and pupae of bees and wasps are eaten by man in different parts of the world. Termites are consumed in some parts of our country. The use of insects in scientific research. The fruit flies, Drosophila spp. have been extensively used in genetic studies. These insects have 1. Short life cycle. 2 large chromosomes, salivary chromosomes. 3 great number of easily recognizable hereditary variations and 4. Drosophila sp can be easily reared in large number at low cost. 833. Insect have been used as experimental animal in studies of behavior. Studies on social insects have provided much interesting and valuable information on social organization and behavior. 2. Harmful insects. Most types of plants are attacked and injured by insects. The injury is caused by feeding or ovipositing on the plant or serving as vectors of plant disease resulting in yield loss or complete loss of the plant. Injury by feeding. Phytophagous insects cause damage resulting in defoliation, egg leaf-eating caterpillars, desapping, sucking pests e.g. aphids, thrips, leaf and plant hoppers, etc. Injury by oviposition, e.g. periodical cicadas cause wilting of twigs when the eggs are laid. Injury by disease transmission, more than 200 plant diseases are transmitted by insects, e.g. vein the yellow vein clearing transmitted by whitefly. Insects attacking stored products. Many insects damage stored produce by feeding, tunneling or contaminating them. Egg rice moth, potato tuber moth, red floor beetle. Insects attacking man and animals. Venomous insects. Many insects inject toxins into man and animals that cause irritation, swelling, pain and sometimes paralysis, e.g. bees, wasps. Parasitic insects. Many parasitic insects live in or on the bodies of man or animals causing irritation, tissue damage or even death, e.g. chewing lice of birds, sucking lice on mammals. Disease transmission. Many insects-borne disease have a high mortality rate in man and animals. Insects transmit diseases into A. As mechanical vectors, houseflies, blowflies, typhoid, cholera, etc. B. As biological vectors, anopheles, malaria. Symptoms and types of damage caused by insect and mite pests. Any insect that feeds on any part of a plant is termed as a pest. The types and symptoms of damage caused to the plants vary according to the feeding habit and mouth parts of insects. The damages caused by the insects are grouped into direct and indirect damages. Direct damages: injuries caused by biting and chewing insects, piercing and sucking insects, internal feeders, subterranean root feeders and storage pests fall under this category. Damages caused by insects having biting and chewing type of mouth parts: defoliation, egg, hairy caterpillars, scrapping and scaleonization, egg, epilechna in brinjal 834, feeding on terminal buds, egg, brinjal shoot borer notching the edges of leaves, egg, ash weevil on brinjal short holes on leaves, egg, flea beetle, tortoise beetle windowing, egg, spodopter in banana irregular holes on leaves, egg, grasshopper leaf rolling, twisting and webbing, egg, mango leaf twisting weevil feeding on flowers and buds, egg, moringa budworm, flower webbing, egg, jasmine webber. Partial feeding on grain or seeds, e.g. lab pod borer. Damage caused by insects having piercing and sucking type of mouth parts: chlorosis, egg, aphids on groundnut speckling, egg, banana tingeds silvering, egg, onion thrips mosaic, egg, vein the aphids hopper burn, egg, vein the jusset crinkling and curling of leaves, egg, chili thrips upward and downward curling of leaves, egg, chili aphids downward cupping of leaves, egg, brinjal aphids elongation of petioles, e.g. chili yellow mite distortion and clustering of leaves, egg, mealybug on coconut tissue proliferation, e.g. mealybug on hibiscus shoot drying, egg, tea mosquito bug on neem flower and fruit drop shading, egg, mango hoppers scab corky outgrowth, egg, tea mosquito bug on guava. Fruit ratting and discoloration, egg, citrus fruit sucking moth pod grain shriveling, egg, pod bug on lablab damage caused by internal feeders stem shoot, bole, fruit and capsule boring, egg, pomegranate fruit borer leaf mining, egg, citrus leaf miner 835, golf formation, egg, mango leaf gall frothing and gummosis, egg, spittle bug on jack oozing out of sap, egg, coconut red palm weevil flower discoloration, egg, jasmine budworm damages caused by subterranean pests removal of sown seeds, egg, ants on amaranthus wilting of plants due to feeding on roots, egg, root grub on cauliflower tunneling in vines and tubers, egg, potato tuber moth boring, tunneling and emptying of pods, egg, sweet potato weevil chlorosis and devitalization, egg, root mealybug damage caused by stored product pests internal feeding of grains, egg, pulse beetle surface scrapping of grains, egg, coursera moth caking of floor, egg, red floor beetle indirect damages oviposition injury, egg, cicada, cowbug making harvest difficult, egg, red ants on mango, lablab aphids contamination and loss of quality, egg, brinjal fruit borer making nests or cases out of plant parts, egg, leaf cutter bee insect carriers, egg, homopterans, mealybug, carried by ants, transmission tomato spotted of plant wilt. 3. Disease MLO, mycoplasma by insects, virus like 1. Organisms, white fly, egg, leaf vein, the hopper's vein, egg, clearing brinjal little. 2. Thrips leaf dot, egg, 1704. 2. Classification of pests, any organism detrimental to man, his property, or any form of plant or animal life, or any pathogenic agent injurious or potentially injurious to plants, plant products, livestock or man is defined as pest. Insects sufficiently numerous to cause economic loss is called insect pest. Categories of insect pests. Category criteria. Examples based on occurrence: cardamom capsule borer, brinjal. Occurring more frequently on a crop and shot and fruit borer, chili and regular pest. Thrips, mango nut having close association with the crop. Cardamom weevil, aphids in cotton. Mango stem borer, castor slug, occasional, occurring infrequently with no close. Caterpillar, rice caseworm, rice pest association with a particular crop. BPH occurs during a particular season. Every red hurry caterpillar, RHC, in seasonal pest year. Groundnut, onset of monsoon, occurs throughout the year and is difficult persistent pest. Chili thrips, mealybug on guava. To control. Coconut slug caterpillar, sugarcane sporadic pest occurring in a few isolated localities. Spirilla, white grub, hairy caterpillar, rice eared bug. Based on level of infestation, sudden outbreak in a severe form in a BPH in Tanjore, RHC in Madurai, epidemic pest region at a particular time. Polachi, Bhavan Taluk. Endemic pest occur in a low level in few pockets. Rice gallmage in Madurai regularly and confined to particular area. Based on ETL and EIL, GEP, general equilibrium position, lies very close to EIL, can be managed by major pest repeated sprays, cause 10% economic cotton gessid, rice stem borer damage. 1732. 2. Classification of pests. Any organism detrimental to man, his property, or any form of plant or animal life, or any pathogenic agent injurious or potentially injurious to plants, plant products, livestock or man is defined as pest. Insects sufficiently numerous to cause economic loss is called insect pest. Categories of insect pest. Category criteria. Example based on occurrence: regular pest occurring more frequently on a crop and having close association with the crop. Cardamom capsule borer, brinjal shot and fruit borer, chill and cardamom thrips, mango nut weevil, aphids in cotton. Occasional pest occurring infrequently with no close association with particular crop. Mango stem borer, castor slug caterpillar, rice caseworm, rice. BPH seasonal pest occur during a particular season every year. Red hairy caterpillar, RHC in groundnut. Inset of monsoon, persistent pest occurs throughout the year and is difficult to control. Chili thrips, mealybug on guava, sporadic pest occurring in a few isolated localities. Coconut slug caterpillar, sugarcane pyrilla, white grub, hairy caterpillar, rice eared bug. Based on level of infestation, epidemic pest, sudden outbreak in a severe form in a region at a particular time. BPH in Tanjore, RHC in Madurai, Polachi, Bhavan Taluk. Endemic pest occur in a low level in few pockets regularly and confined to particular area. Rice gallmage in Madurai. Based on ETL and EIL, major pest GEP, general equilibrium position, lies very close to EIL, can be managed by repeated sprays. Cause 10% economic damage. Cotton gessid, rice borer, minor, usually GEP. Rice hispa, ash weevil, key pest, always GEP. EIL persistent pests. Environment must be changed to bring GEP below EIL. Cotton bollworm, diamond back moth, potential pest even under favorable condition, does not cross EIL. Spodopter litura. Wheat armyworm. 1734. Concepts of injury levels. V.M. Stern et al. 1959. Proposed economic injury level concept against indiscriminate use of DDT. Damage boundary, lowest level of injury where the damage can be measured. ETL, economic threshold level. The population density of an increasing pest population at which control measures should be started to prevent the population from reaching the EIL. ETL represents pest density lower than EIL to allow time for initiation of control measure. Level of pest population where yield increase by pest management, cost of pest management. Most important parameter in pest management decision making, thus known as action threshold. E.g., rice stem borer, 5% dead hearts or 1 egg mass. M2. Tomato fruit borer, 1 damaged fruit or plant. Cotton gessids, 1 to 2 nymphs leaf. EIL, economic injury level. This is the lowest population density that will cause economic damage. Also defined as a critical density where the loss caused by the pest equals the cost of control measure. EIL can be calculated using following formula where EIL is equal to economic injury level in insects production, or insects HA is equal to cost of management activity per unit of production, Hours HA, 1739, V is equal to market value per unit of yield or product, Hours ton, I is equal to crop injury per insect, percent defoliation insect, D is equal to damage or yield loss per unit of injury, ton loss percent defoliation, K is equal to proportionate reduction in injury from pesticide use. Factors influencing ETL and EIL. Market value of crop when crop value increases, EIL decrease, and vice versa. B. Management of injury per insect when management costs increase. EIL also increases degree of injury per insect. Insects damaging leaves or reproductive parts have different EIL, lower EIL for reproductive part damages. If insects are vectors of disease, EIL is very low, even 1 or 2 insects if found. Management to be taken if insects found on fruits. Marketability reduced. EIL very low. D. Crop susceptibility to injury. If crop can tolerate the injury and give good yield, EIL can be fixed at a higher value when crop is older. It can withstand high pest population. EIL can be high. Tertiary factors, weather, soil factors, biotic factors and human social environment. These tertiary factors cause change in secondary factors, thereby affect the ETL and EIL. 4. General equilibrium position, GEP. The average density of a population over a long period of time, in the absence of permanent environmental changes. Causes for outbreak of pests: destruction of forests or bringing forest area under cultivation, shift to cultivated crops. Egg, hairy caterpillar attack on crop plants near forest areas. Indiscriminate use of pesticides leads to destruction of natural enemies, pest resistance, pest resurgence. Egg, synthetic pyrethroids on sucking pests. 1740, intensive cultivation. Egg, diamondback moth on cauliflower in plains and extensive cultivation. Egg, monoculture of rice leads to outbreak of leaf folder. Introduction of new crops. Egg, gherkin crop leads more fruit fly incidence and improved strains. Egg, many high-yielding varieties are more susceptible to insects. Improved agronomic practices. Egg, higher, n, close spacing, weed control etc. improved crop growth and reduced competition for food to the insects. Introduction of new pest in a new area. Egg, apple woolly aphid. Accidental introduction of foreign pest. Egg, potato tuber moth cyst nematode of potato spiraling whitefly on guava. Or large-scale storage of food grains. Egg, outbreak of stored product pests. Rat problem 1825. 3. Surveillance and forecasting of insect pest monitoring. Monitoring for pests is a fundamental first step in creating a proper integrated pest management (IPM) program. Pests are monitored through a variety of monitoring tools such as pheromone traps, light traps, colored sticky traps, pitfall traps, and suction traps. Monitoring estimation of changes in insect distribution and abundance, information about insects, life history, influence of biotic and abiotic factors on pest population. Pest surveillance: it is nothing but periodical assessment of pests populations and their damage, or watch kept on a pest for the purpose of decision making in pest management. Pest surveillance refers to the constant watch on the population dynamics of pests, its incidence and damage on each crop at fixed intervals to forewarn the farmers to take up timely crop protection measures. Pest surveillance can provide the necessary information to determine the feasibility of a pest control program. An official process which collects and records data on pest presence or absence by survey, monitoring or other procedures. 3 basic components of pest surveillance: determination of the level of incidence of the pest species, determination of the loss caused by the incidence, determination of the economic benefits the control will provide. Objectives of pest surveillance: to monitor when pest population damage at different growth stages of crop reaches economic threshold levels, to estimate the crop losses caused by pests, to determine study changing the research pest priorities. Status from minor to major in a given crop ecosystem. This enables to 5. To spread monitor of exotic the development invasion pest, that of new of pest biotypes, species resistance in a local to ecosystem insecticides, and resurgence, determining etc. the rate of has already been established. 1829. To study the influence of weather parameters on pest by recording the changes in density of pest population throughout the year. To assess natural enemies population and their influence in a particular cropping system and in different seasons. Pest surveys can be grouped into following categories. Survey is done to study distribution and abundance of pest species. Regular survey activity is necessary. Successful surveillance programs. An insect pest survey is a detailed collection of insect population information at a particular time in a given area. Qualitative survey. It is generally aimed at pest detection and provides list of pest species present along with reference to density like common, abundant, and rare. These are usually employed with newly introduced pests to understand the extent of infestation. These surveys are mostly adopted at international borders where agricultural commodities are inspected to avoid invasion of any new species. Quantitative survey. This survey defines numerically the abundance of pest population in time and space. It provides information on the damaging potential of a species and data can be used to predict future population trends. These surveys provide the basis to decision making for adopting control measures for a pest by the farmers. Survey surveillance can also be classified as fixed plot and roving. Fixed plot survey. In fixed plot survey, the pest population or damage due to insect pests is assessed from a fixed plot selected in a field. The data are recorded regularly from sowing till harvest of the crop from the same fixed plot in a particular field. The data collected in these surveys are used to develop forecasting models. 2 fields of about 1 acre in size are selected in 2 different villages in the jurisdiction of each agricultural officers. 5 microplots each of the size of 1 square meter area are fixed in each field. These microplots are laid one each in 4 quarters of the field and one in the middle. The microplots should be fixed about 10 meters away from the bunds. The observations for most of the pests are confined to 5 microplots in each field. The direct counting of population on plant, light traps, sticky trap, pheromone traps, etc. are techniques which can be used to monitor population in this survey. Counting total tillers and number of tillers affected by stem borer from 10 randomly selected plants from fixed 5 spots of 1m2 in 1 ha is an example of fixed plot survey. 1842. 4. Rapid roving survey. This survey includes assessment of pest population or damage from randomly selected spots in a short period of time over a large area. It provides information on pest level which helps in determining the timing of adopting appropriate control measures. The surveys are made to monitor the initial development of pests in endemic areas in the beginning of crop season. The roving is conducted every week at the rate of 2 fields in each of the 4 villages in the jurisdiction of each agriculture officer. In each field, observation are recorded from southwest corner by a diagonal walk. Based on these surveys, the farmers are instructed to monitor the pest incidence in their used respective fields by the agriculture extension specialists and take interventions to manage the pests accordingly. The counting of whitefly adults from lower surface of leaf from randomly selected cotton plants on a predetermined route after a definite period of intervals is an example of roving survey. Steps for pest surveillance. 1. Identification of pest. The first most important step for surveillance survey is correct identification of pest. If the identification of a pest is incorrect, the decision for taking intervention for the management of pest will not be reliable. The incorrect identification may occur when one known species is confused with other or when a previously unknown species is grouped into known species. Therefore, the person deputed for survey must have expertise on identification of all the stages of pest and their common visible morphological characters. Otherwise, the samples may be collected and reared in laboratory for all stages and specialist expert taxonomist may be consulted. With the advent of molecular techniques, the data on conserved gene sequences is being generated for all the biodiversity of the world through International Barcode of Life (IBOL) project. The data will be publicly available which can be useful for identification of pest specimen. The simple procedure includes sequencing of conserved genes amplified from total DNA of insect species and alignment of the sequence with the gene sequence databank. It would help to establish the identity of new unknown species and other species, which are generally confused with other species. 2. Determination of pest population. The second basic component of surveillance is estimation of pest population. Most of the economy field. The study threshold on pest levels population for different is helpful. Pests depend in pinpointing on number the factors of pest that population bring about present numerically in the pest changes species. In the natural population, and also in understanding the functioning of life system of the surveillance program. 3 kinds of reports. White card report or normal report. This is a weekly report in which the pest and disease situations are reported regularly. Yellow card where place or disease is noticed at 50% of the economic threshold level but still not at an ETL status. The information is immediately passed on for alerting the Joint Director of Agriculture is subject matter specialist and the scientist. Red card. This reporting system is adopted when a pest or a disease has reached the critical economic threshold level where immediate action program has to be launched for controlling the pest or disease. A web-based decision support system called ePest Surveillance System was developed and implemented for effective and regular pest monitoring in soybean, glycine max, and cotton, Gossypium spp, crops in Maharashtra. Epidemics of Spodopetra litura occurred during September 2008 in an area of 1.46 million ha, caused loss of 0.85 million tons and monetary loss of INR 1.39 billion, which led to the immediate need for systematic area-wide pest monitoring. Application of web technologies speeded up the whole process of pest surveillance and appropriate actions to be taken to manage pests by the farmers. The system consists of 3 major components, with a database, an offline data capture and online data reporting and advisory applications. Information of the incidence of key pests of selected crops collected through regular monitoring by State Department of Plant Protection personnel at farmers' field was fed into the offline data capture application deployed at their computers and subsequently transferred to central database. Pest management experts from state agriculture universities, SAUs, accessed the pest reports generated on the central database through online reporting and advisory application. Decisions of pest management were made on the basis of these reports by state pest experts and issued as advisories to farmers through short message service, SMS, for implementation. This describes the structure and functions of the ePest surveillance system, which seeks to be first of its kind in Indian agriculture for pest management at farmers' field level.